Hi Earthlings, welcome back. I'm Chelsea, and on today's video, I'm gonna go over what the Akashic Records are. It took me a hot second to get the courage or whatever to do this video because it is a bit challenging to put into words what the Akashic Records are. I have notes, but I'm just gonna wing it because that's how I do videos better. I have Louie here for emotional support. So let's get started. So the Akashic Records they exist in a realm of consciousness. So they aren't a physical thing that you can actually hold. It would be more something that you can feel. But they exist in this realm of consciousness, and they record and hold and store the experience, actions, emotions, thoughts of every soul that has ever existed, past, present, and possible future. Louie, I need you to relax. And so I say possible future or future possibilities because humans have this thing called free will. So, nothing is set in stone. It's always, if you go with a reader, even if you, Louie, hey, just lie down. It's okay, I know. Okay. If you ever meet with a psychic, intuitive, shaman, and there shouldn't be fortune telling, there shouldn't be future predicting. That is not how it should work. To me, that just shows they are not a good healer, because humans have this thing called free will. Everyone has it, freedom of thought, word, action. You can always change your future. Even if you hear something that you don't like, you have the choice to say if that resonates with you or not. So future possibilities, our future is changing every second because every second we're thinking and doing something. So I like to think about, if you walk out your front door, you go left or you go right, your day could be completely different. So future possibilities. And so I'd like, like Edgar Cayce, he is a pretty well-known psychic from like a while back. He's probably one of the first people that worked with the Akashic Records. He called them the Book of Life. And so he was probably one of the first psychics that was just like opening up the Akashic Records. And it was seen as something that like only he can do, or only a few select could do. And I think that was sort of this idealism back then. I don't have a date for you, sorry. Of like only a few select people get to access the Akashic Records, where we're going into this new timeline of everyone can access them. So he was just sort of one of the first people that, if you Google the Akashic Records, his name might come up a lot. But they are in a way referenced in biblical script, religious books, that sort of thing. You'll see them referenced as the records, as the Book of Life, as the book that has tracked your soul's everything. So just to kind of review it, it logs everything. It's like this giant ass book up in the sky somewhere doing something that just has every human soul's experience, thought, word, action. Pretty wild. So going into a session in the Akashic Records, you're able to access your past lives, you're able to access what you're dealing with in the present moment, and you're able to access possible future outcomes. And yeah, so the word Akasha, it's a Sanskrit word. Here, I have it written down. Louie, that which all things are formed, which I thought was really nice. And so the records are governed by a group of non-physical light beings. Sorry, looking at my notes to make sure I don't mess this up. I have a lot going on. I recorded this video like before, and Louie was upstairs, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna re-record because I left out a few things, and he decided to come downstairs and be a freaking jerk about it. All right, so the records are governed by a group of non-physical light beings called the Lords of the Records. Non-physical light beings essentially means they have never been human. They have never had the human experience. They've never been in this physical form here on Earth, or I think also possibly they haven't even experienced physical form on other planets as well. And so they sort of watch over everything and decide what information, if a human were to access the Akashic Records or have someone access it for them, like me, they decide what information that human is like quote unquote ready for. So you might ask something and they're like, you got to work through this first before we dive into that. And also with the idea of like, think about opening up your entire book of life plus past lives. Like who knows how many past lives you had. So it's really important for them. They govern this because they want to make sure you're getting the right information that you need in that present moment. Instead of just bombarding you with everything, you wouldn't even be able to process it. So just kind of have faith and trust that what you're receiving is what you're meant to receive in that moment. And who helps you receive these messages besides me, the channeler, is the masters, teachers, and loved ones who they have been at one point in time human. So masters, ascended masters, you think of that. Teachers, an example that comes to mind is Buddha or Jesus, and loved ones. So it could be friends or family, loved ones that have passed on. So these are typically once lived in this physical form and now they're up in the realm doing their thing, helping you receive messages. So I like to think of them like, in the 60s, if you've ever watched freaking Mad Men, where like the little office with the women that when they receive a call, they have to plug in the thing and they're like, let me connect you to your call. Those are the masters, teachers, and loved ones. So the lords are like, hey, they can receive this message, or like, this is what we want to show them right now. Like, cool, let me connect you to the reader, the channeler, either you or me or whoever, and I receive the message. So that's like an amazing metaphor for that. I'm just so proud of myself. I just thought of that right now. Okay, moving on. So you can use the Akashic Records to heal. It's sort of like another healing modality. You have access to everything that is the essence of you. So if you're dealing with emotional blocks, if you're dealing with triggers, you can go in and ask why. Again, sometimes karma can come over from a past life, and whatever your soul didn't learn in that past life comes into this one, and you're like, have to freaking deal with it. So that's another way. And another thing too to be aware of is your soul chose this life for you. This is something that I came across. Oh my God, please don't bark. Someone was just walking by the front door. He has like this crazy bark, but it's this idea. I remember coming across it a few years ago, and it gave me so much peace to know like my soul chose this for me because it knew I could handle it, and it knew that these were the lessons I needed in this life to be able to truly up level and become the best version of myself. So your soul's entire goal is for you to just come back to your most authentic, true self. And so we go through that in life by trial and error, and that's just part of being human. The soul wants to come down here and feel these human emotions to truly understand them. Being a human is a luxury. It's such an amazing experience, and there is so much pain, there is so much grief, but on the other end, there's so much pure joy. And so I love leaving with that idea of like, my soul chose this, you know? Or if you interact with someone that kind of triggers you, it's a good way to reframe it, is to say, what is this soul teaching me? And so, let me check my notes. Yeah, so that's all about that. So if you were to book a session, for me, accessing the Akashic Records, I raise my frequency typically through meditation. The idea is to get your energy to match the energy of the realm that the Akashic Records resides in. So I do that through meditation, listening to certain music. Right now the practice for me is to get into that frame of consciousness quickly and as efficiently as possible. So it's a work in progress, but for me, that's what I do to access the Akashic Records on my behalf or yours. And for you, you would just need to have your questions prepared. You wouldn't need to share them with me, or if you see another reader with them, there's no need for us to know them beforehand. And another thing I like to ask clients to do is, what are your intentions behind your questions? There are no wrong questions or intentions, but it's really just purely understanding what are you trying to achieve. Sometimes it's okay to just go in and browse while you're in the Akashic Records and just sort of be given proof that they exist. But a lot of times you have these questions you really want to know the answers to, and so it's just understanding your intention. Is it to grow and up level and thrive, or is it coming from a place of like deep fear and anxiety? And if you booked a session for me, it would be having those intentions and questions prepared. We would sit together and do a meditation and some breath work together, just really quickly, mostly for our energy to connect. And then, yeah, we would go in. I like to usually have us sit for the first few minutes in the Akashic Records and see if just anything kind of floods my mind or my channeling. Just sometimes they're really excited to talk to you and they just want you to know this information really quickly, and then we can go into the questions. And sometimes people don't even have exact questions. They're like, this is what I'm dealing with. And it's like A, B, C, like this is everything. And then we just sit with them and see what comes up. And so how I receive these messages, how I either translate or channel them, most of the time I see or hear. So I'll either see literal images or actually just see the words. So I might see the word resentment and be like, do you have resentment towards someone right now? Most of the time I hear though, it actually differs with, like I had one client where I just saw like movie style images in my brain, and then another person where I only would see the images of the words, and then another client where it was like floodgates in my ears. So, but I would say majority of the time, especially when I channel for myself, it's like I can hear an actual messenger like in my mind's ear. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's sort of how I channel. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, that's a really quick overview. I'm sorry Louie was kind of a pest and distracted me. I hope I didn't go over anything too quickly. Of course, as always, if you have any questions or if you'd like to book with me or even just a consultation, just freaking message me, DM me, Instagram me, whatever. I'm down. I'm keen to talk about this more. So I hope you enjoyed. Louie, say bye. All right, guys. See you next time.